Welcome to our Literacy Academies video. This video is meant to serve as a how-to guide to support the launching of Literacy Academies. This is best to be used with the Academy Launch Guide that we published last year. In the Launch Guide, we've provided step-by-step instructions, templates, and hyperlinks to resources to ensure that your Academy launch will be a success. Look at the data. Is it giving you enough information? Will you be able to identify each child's individualized need? If DIBELS is not giving you enough information, what other resources do you have available to you to further assess the students? If the student is struggling in the areas of phonological awareness, try administering the PASI. If the student is struggling in the areas of phonics, but you're not sure where to start, try administering the Core Phonics Survey. Collecting diagnostic evidence, interpreting the evidence, and forming instructional groups correctly is a crucial part of having successful academies. Data dialogues have to happen across the grade level. Make sure you schedule data dialogues and have time to analyze the data. During this time, you will do the following. You will identify target skill and/or the focus area, determine progress monitoring measure, build the data wall, and group the students based on similar targeted skills or focus area.
All right, so we just got our results back from the middle of the year DIBELS assessment. So let's take a look at how our students did.
Okay. So this is interesting. One of my students, John, went from yellow to red. Let me log on and take a look at his probe to see what happened.
Look at Chris. He also went from yellow to red.
Maybe we want to log on and see what's going on there too.
I think so.
Okay, so let me take a look at John's PSF, phoneme segmentation fluency. John appears to be having trouble with medial sounds. There's not a real pattern in terms of which middle sounds. Here's the ah, here's the and then there's a long vowel here. He seems to be struggling with all of them. Perhaps because of the placement. I'm going to have to work with John on segmenting and blending phonemes, with an emphasis on the middle sounds. Let me take a look at his NWF, nonsense word fluency, to confirm. This is interesting. For NWF, nonsense word fluency, John is mostly reading them sound by sound. There's one that he read as a whole word after sounding it out. John is an English learner, and like many of my English learners, he struggles with short vowel sounds, particularly the e and the I. He needs practice hearing and saying the difference. This probe validates what we saw earlier in terms of what we need to work on with him. John may benefit from instruction that focuses on blending sounds into words with an emphasis on reading words as whole words. Wow, there's definitely a direct correlation to his struggle with vowels. He read 50% of words with vowels correctly, missing the other half. So let me go back to my small group planner. I'm going to use this template to determine and sort which instructional plan is best for each of my students. I'm going to start a group with John since I just analyzed his data. Based on his DIBELS probe results, I'm going to progress monitor John in PSF, phoneme segmentation fluency. I know that the last time we assessed the students in PSF is at beginning of the year, first grade. But the beauty of progress monitoring is that I can select any DIBELS measure and test my students out of the prescribed assessments. As for target skill, I will be working with him on segmenting to make sure he knows how to break apart the phonemes in a word. And then we will move into blending. I want to make sure I emphasize on the short vowels I and eh.
Can we take a look at my Chris? He also dropped from yellow to red. Let me click on 17, his score, and look at his nonsense word fluency. Chris is reading whole words and sound by sound. So he has letter-sound correspondence. I can see he's not making any mistakes. He's slow but accurate. If I can give him more practice on blending sounds into words, it will build his confidence and automaticity. This will allow him to focus on higher level reading skills. Chris is a SEL, a standard English learner, so some of his challenges might also be because of his home language features. I noticed on his linguistic screener, he did have challenges with vowel pair homophones. Let me go back to his summary. Now this is interesting. He got a 6 for fluency, but a 67 for accuracy. Let's take a look at the fluency passage. Well, Chris read one sentence with 9 words in the sentence. 3 were mispronounced. That's 67%. None of the words with vowel combinations were read correctly. I also noticed a word with a consonant cluster. I don't have enough information here. I might have to use another diagnostic assessment to determine specific instructional needs. Meanwhile, on my planner for my class, I'm going to start my first group with Chris. I'm going to progress monitor him on nonsense word fluency, NWF. I'll be targeting vowel combinations and consonant clusters.
You will create an Academy schedule. When creating Academy schedule, identify participating support personnel to reduce the student to teacher ratio. Determine the common protected Academy time. Create common settings, routines, and expectations. There should be universal classroom rules. There should be transitioning protocols, a system for management of student and teacher material, and an effective classroom layout.
Our Early Language and Literacy Academy model takes place for 60 minutes in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. Teachers collaborate and analyze data to inform instruction. Students are grouped by skills and need. Each group has a targeted focus and goal that addresses the language and literacy needs of all students. We have created common schedules to align all additional resources available at our school during Academy.
How do you know what you're doing is effective? Well, we need to progress monitor. How often should you progress monitor? For our students who are well below benchmark, the recommendation is every 2 weeks. Below benchmark, it's every 4 weeks. And for our benchmark student, it would be as needed. Now, for progress monitoring, if a child has reached their benchmark goal, then you should identify a new target skill and adjust their group or placement as necessary. If after progress monitoring you notice that the student has made limited progress, well, adjust your instructional strategies. What else can you do instead? If there are no change, revise instruction and adjust instructional strategies immediately. If there's a regression, perhaps we need to reassess the students with the PASI or the core to see what the heart of the problem is. Remember, the final 2 steps of the cycle of instruction are to teach and monitor instructional progress. These 2 steps are a cycle in and of themselves. In order to ensure growth, we need to monitor our instruction to make sure that it is working for our students. So, as you are rolling out or refining your literacy academies at your school, keep the 4 phases in mind. Clearly setting the stage, establishing fluid systems and structures, masterfully designing instruction, and finally, routinely refining instruction are all a part of having a spectacular academy and guaranteeing that our students will have acquired strong foundational skills and are on their way to becoming proficient speakers, readers, and writers. The following are some words of advice from the field of schools with successful academies.
So at the beginning, my recommendation would be to start with 30 minutes at the beginning of the year, then increase the time to 45 minutes for the middle of the year, and at the end of the year, the expectation should be that we are at 60 minutes. Therefore, we can work on routines and procedures and the content that we are addressing on the specific needs of every student as we analyze the data and collaborate together.
Because our teachers weren't used to teaming together and collaborating together. And so sharing their students has been a big shift. They at first, that was the biggest concern. They didn't want to have their children go somewhere else. They wanted to make sure that they were responsible for their own children learning. But I think now they're getting to be more familiar with each other's instruction. We provide time for them to visit each other during the time that UAT is taking place, the academies, so that they could see that how the other teacher is instructing and feel more comfortable about letting go of their children and having them go there.
As a grade level, we sit down and we collaborate and we have opportunities to look at the data and make decisions in terms of students' needs and grouping them accordingly. And I think one of the biggest benefits has been that we now have an ownership of not just our classroom, but of the students at large. And the students also build relationships with other teachers as well, which I think is very powerful in that they see that we're all invested in creating an environment that helps them progress and that we're really honing in on their needs in Academy.
We were told that we would start this literacy academy in our classrooms. And at first, we were uncomfortable with it. For the first time, we were going to open our doors and allow our students to go into different classrooms, depending on the levels where we put the children in and the way that their scores came out, using Dibble's data and using the data that we as teachers generated. And that was not a very easy thing to do because we felt in control when we had our students in our classroom. But as we tried this out, we found out that our students were actually doing a wonderful job when they were able to work as a group, all at the same level, and the teacher could come in and hone into that particular level and be able to work with the students and allow a variety of different activities that can help and support the students at that particular level so that we can move them up into the next level.
The most difficult part is finding the time for teachers to come together to analyze the data and providing the time during the day as well as after school during bank time and faculty meeting.
that time is so focused that it really allows me to expand on whatever area I'm working with. Right now, my focus has been comprehension, and it allows me to almost take a PBL approach to the Literacy Academy and bring in the content areas within the Academy time, which builds excitement for the kids and for me.
Well, as a dual language teacher, I understood that many of these skills are transferable. They transfer over, and yes, we are working with two different sound systems, but many of the skills are very similar. And so the stronger the children got, we also found that when we were in our Spanish mode, that they were getting stronger as well. Each teacher has their own autonomy, even within the literacy academies. The sense of meeting the children's need is so important, but I design those lessons. I'm the one who is figuring out, where do I come in? How do I meet those children's needs? And also designing the lessons for my paraprofessional. I end up with 2 independent groups, but I design those lessons, and I'm the one who's figuring out, how do I best use this time? It's just a small portion of time of my day, but I want it to be very effective. In our school, we decided on what we call common agreements. And these were the things that, if I'm gonna let my students go out to different classrooms, I want certain things to be practiced. And those would be, for example, in a kinder classroom, the alphabet. What's the alphabet name? What's the alphabet sound? Are we practicing those high frequency words, which we all have the same similar high frequency words? These were the common agreements that we thought were very important. The nonsense words. We all knew we were going to practice those nonsense words in order to build fluency. So I knew that if my students are now going out to different classrooms, certain things were going to be done in every single classroom when we were part of a whole group session. But now the small group session, which were the small independent groups, those were designed by myself in trying to meet the needs of the levels that I was receiving. So I would say that working collaboratively with your counterparts is a wonderful thing. We become stronger when we work together. And I feel that the students also become stronger because we're meeting their needs and they're feeling successful. And that is a beautiful feeling, and I think one that makes us stronger here at Ford.
It's been quite a journey, but I think this has helped us not only in the primary grades, but our 4th through 6th grade teachers also have really started to look at their own expertise in teaching reading. Because unfortunately, as we know, our children do not leave 2nd or 3rd grade being good readers. And so the upper grade teachers also need to become teachers of reading so that all of our students will leave elementary school reading.
The shift is that we're now all accountable for all of our students. The other shift is that we are holding each other accountable, but we also trust that we are all doing the work that we need to be doing with each of the groups that are coming into our classroom.
The children have worked with us at some point during the year, and we know the children, and they feel very comfortable going into the different classrooms and getting to know new teachers and getting to know new friends. So there's this wonderful sense of community at our school, which we love.
I look forward to Academy every day.